Here?
It's here?
Yes. All the energy flowing through the wedge comes together and collects here.
Is that thing a Zoogle? Holy crap, it's huge!
A central core and a guardian?
Once we beat that thing, it'll stop the wedge from taking in any more astral energy, right?
It seems we're in for a fight regardless.
Here it comes. Stay sharp, everyone!
Is there no end to what the Renans can cook up?
I don't know if that's a machine or what, but I do know it's pissing me off! Watch yourself. There is no knowing what it is capable of. Any other wisdom you want to pass along?
Sword Rain Alpha! Here I come!
Take this!
Dance in the wind!
In a vine?
It's on!
of lightning!
No escape!
On your rending you apart!
Take this! Thanks, Shiro.
Be careful not to overdo it.
I'm sorry. We got it.
No
escape! Sword Rain Alpha!
Breath of life! Heal my weary companion!
I never miss!
Cure!
I owe you one.
There! Radiant here!
On your knees!
Here I come!
By the power of flame! Finish without a trace!
You're mine! Sword Rain Alpha!
Bloody howling!
Here I come! Eternal devastation! No escape! It's over!
Bloody howling! On your knees! Take this!
We've turned the tables on him.
There are still more left.
Right. No time to hold back.
I shall ensure you survive this. Reflect on thy sins. They smite with blackened
Dance
grave.
in the wind! Air to arch requires complete focus!
On your knees. My reach is even wider.
Dance in the wind!
Not today!
Air thrust! Magic is air thrust! You get the gist. Air thrust!
Light Spear! Mirage!
Blah blah blah! Air thrust! You get the gist. Air thrust! Blah blah blah! Maelstrom! Oh, you get the gist. Meteor storm!
Flaming Thrust! Rising Falcon!
I'm all stuck. I never miss. Oh, sparkling stars of light! Rain down and purify all! By the power of flame! Finish without a trace! Meteor storm! Dance in the wind!
Stalagmite!
Dance in the wind!
Another incantation ruined.
Air thrust! Magic is air thrust! Oh, sparkling stars of light! Rain down and purify all! Meteor storm!
Rending you apart.
Radiant flood! Oh, sparkling star! Blah blah blah!
Bloody howling.
Let me help! Meteor
Can't
storm!
get out of this.
Reinforcements!
I can carve through armor. Far
Radiant
enough.
light! Here! Oh, sparkling stars of light! Rain down and purify all!
Rising Falcon!
Rending you apart.
An astral art?
That's my cue!
On your
Shut him
Not
down!
on my watch!
Swallow blade.
We've got him on the run.
Don't get cocky!
Right. Still anyone's fight.
Demon Fang.
Meteor storm! Now for something quick! Oh, sparkling stars of light! Rain down and purify! Where are you going?
This one's mine!
Radiant pierce!
Soaring blast.
Meteor storm! Here's a healing art! Take all disasters
No
made
further.
one! Come for the healing of pure!
Shattering of
Glacial
pieces.
spear!
Attack
Here's
time.
evil!
I can carve through armor. I'm ready.
Shion, astral energy, full throttle!
Is it over?
What the hell is going on?
Rinwell! It's too dangerous! Stay back!
Rinwell! What's going on here? This warmth.
Dan?
Rinwell, are you okay? Hey, are you crying?
I'm not the only one.
I heard it. Whatever it was, I heard it.
As did I. I'm not sure I'd call it a voice, but it was there. What in the world just happened?
That was Dana's astral energy we just encountered. And I think what we heard might have been its voice?
You're saying astral energy has a mind of its own?
I haven't the slightest idea. But do you remember what happened when we fought Balsef back in Calaglia?
You mean when that fire monster came out of the spirit vessel?
Exactly. There was such a huge overflow of astral energy, it caused a monster to spawn and take physical form. Maybe the same thing happened here, just with way more astral energy and a bigger monster.
Does that mean if you gather enough astral energy, it can become sentient or take a physical form?
That's what I'm guessing, but it's just speculation. Master cores are able to hold a lot more energy than a spirit vessel, but we still haven't seen anything like that happen in our dealings with them.
That being said, there may be a mechanism of sorts inside Master Cores and spirit vessels that prevents such reactions.
That fire monster. I remember how it only appeared after Balsef's spirit vessel broke.
Then the reason Rinwell was able to sense all that astral energy earlier must have been because it was too much for that Zoogle to contain by itself.
So, then where do you think the Zoogle went? All that energy and poof, it's gone. The Zoogle with it. Doesn't that sound weird to anyone?
Indeed it does. However, in order for us to move our hypothesis forward, we will need to gather more evidence first. On that note, how are you holding up, Rinwell?
I just can't work out why. Why the voice reached out to me first.
Rinwell?
I can't help but wonder if it's because of my heritage that I was the one to hear it. Sorry. That's a strange thing to think, isn't it? Anyway, we should get going, right? We need to make sure the energy flow has actually stopped.
Are we gonna have to take this winding path all the way back down, too?
Yeah, but if anything, it should be easier than the climb up.
Really? Well then.
Actually, I've heard it's easier to develop muscle aches when going down.
Seriously? Everything all right? You kind of looked like you wanted to get something off your chest.
Huh? Oh,
Or not, you know, whatever.
yeah.
Yeah?
Sorry, never mind. Just forget it.
You want to try being a little less cryptic, maybe? Yeah, all right, jeez. Sorry for taking an interest.
Stop it! It's okay, Hootle! Sorry. I guess I still don't really know how to put it into words.
Nah, that's fine. No rush. It might help you to talk about it, though.
I'll keep that in mind. And thanks.
Discourteous, aren't you?
Water, hear my call! Spread!
Here I come! Sword Rain Alpha! Try this! Blending Blast!
Steel Force!
No escape!
Purge Waterfall!
The flame inside me
Here's a
yearns
healing
to be
arc.
let free!
Freeze Lancer!
You're mine!
Down on the ground.
Sword Rain Alpha! Try this!
Pain. Great.
Shattering
Pieces! Attack
More to the stockpile!
Heal my weary companion.
You're mine!
Now or never.
Sword Rain Alpha!
Another incantation ruined.
Blending Blast!
Can't get out of this!
Reload! I never miss! Lightning raging
Elusive deity!
Arc Field!
This one keeps charging us!
That's what my shield's for.
Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Breath of life. Heal my
First
weary
aid.
companion.
Cure! Glacial Spear! Pierce Evil!
Try harder! Not a chance!
Freeze Lancer! A whirling struggle! Winds of Heaven! First force! Ready to go! In here! Let's get you all to annihilation! Hear me!
Take this!
Glacial Spear! Pierce Evil! Nail Star!
Now you see what I can do!
Freeze Lancer! Illuminate the dark!
Not today!
Holy Glimmer!
Take this!
Can't get out of this!
Holy Land!
I can do without this thing! Sword Rain Alpha! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! Not a chance! Crush! Okay, here I go! Sword Rain Alpha!
March requires complete
Dragon Swarm!
annihilation!
Explosive Ring!
Heal my wearied companion.
Raging Cascade!
Shattering of pieces!
Down on the ground.
Thanks for the healing. Watch yourself, okay? Yeah, you too.
No further.
You'll pay for that!
Gemini Aqua!
Vacuum Blade!
Up and at 'em, let's go!
There! Ignite!
I'll bring you back from death to
There!
birth. Raging Storm!
Vacuum Blade!
Precipitation! Here, let me help. Illuminate the
escape.
dark! Come back! Holy Glimmer!
There!
Back into Holy Land! A chain between heaven and earth.
Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno! Doubling! In an instant! Impact Block! We're a pretty lethal combination, aren't we?
What can I say? I had a good partner.
What's with that shining foe over there? Yeah.
No choice.
Shine! Radiant, take
All
this!
the
I owe you one. Damn it!
I'm in your debt, Dohalim.
Then tonight's meal is on you.
Keep going.
Come on! Pierce through! Demon Fang!
The enemy wields arc too.
We'll soon see about that.
Take this! Knocked off! We've turned the tables on him.
There are still more left.
Right. No time to hold back.
You must be tired of healing me.
I'm merely doing what I can to help.
Glad you're on up.
Do it! Made one. Come forth, a healer! I can't hold on much longer. Illuminate the dark. Come forth, the power of holy land.
Excellent technique. How are your weapons holding up?
That's not to give me any ideas.
As impressive as always.
Here I hope there isn't proof.
Now, no. I've never seen Xion actually look flustered.
How much longer will our healing arts last?
Out of our way! Thanks so much! I can't heal you forever! Celestial! No more playing nice! Searing flame! Reload! Little help!
Double Demon Fang!
You got company! By the power of the lava! Let's cut our losses! Arctic waterfall!
Yeah. If only I were a cat.
Won't forgive you! A whirling struggle!
I'll take you all on!
First force!
Reflect
Let's cut our losses!
They smite with blackened blade!
It looks like that beam of light has stopped.
Then is it safe to say we've avoided oblivion for the time being?
I can still sense a faint glimmer of energy, though. It hasn't completely dispersed.
You can tell? Rinwell, your senses seem a lot sharper than before, don't they?
And you said you heard that voice, right?
I guess. Maybe. I don't know. I don't feel bad, though.
If trace amounts, however small, do remain, then it leaves us no choice. We must destroy the entire structure.
What do you suggest? We bring it down piece by piece?
Once that's done, what do we do then?
We go to Lenegus. Even if we could destroy the whole wedge like he suggested, it'd only buy us time. The fact they sent this thing down tells me they're not giving up this planet without a fight.
There's also the matter of the Renis Alma. Its circumstances still have yet to be truly resolved.
But how do we even get to Lenegus?
What if we hotwire one of their starships? There's gotta be one on the planet somewhere, right?
Starships are only seen on Dana at the start and end of the Crown Contest. Otherwise, they remain on Lenegus. Believe it or not, we Renans down here aren't quite as free to come and go as one might think.
Great. Well, I'm out of ideas then. We definitely don't have the tech to build a starship. And even if we found a Renin who'd help, who knows how long that'd take?
Yeah. Waiting for a starship to come down from Lenegus would probably be quicker than that.
Wait. Alphen, when you came down from Lenegus, it had to have been in a starship of your own, right?
Right. Oh, of course.
You can't be serious. That was 300 years ago. There's no way it's still gonna work.
But Alphen didn't wake up until a few years ago. That means it had to have still been functioning that whole time to keep his body preserved.
Indeed. You wouldn't happen to remember where you landed, would you?
My memories around where I parked are still a little hazy, but I do know that I woke up in Calaglia. So chances are it's still in the area. At least it's a place to start. Luckily, that realm's my old stomping ground, so I should be able to get us some help finding her.
This is it.
Yeah. As long as Lenegus stands there, there's no avoiding it.
So what's this help in Calaglia you're planning to enlist?
My buddy Nath. If anyone there knows something, I figure it's him. But first, we need to catch a boat and get back to the mainland. Our first port of call is Ulzebek.
Back where you first started out.
Yeah, along with my dad.
You okay? You don't look so good.
I think I'm just a little seasick, that's all.
Liar.
Huh?
You heard me. You've never been good at hiding your emotions, Shion.
Excuse me? Just what do you... No. You're right. I'm sorry.
Is it about Alphen?
No. Not just him.
Something you can't talk about?
Rinwell, I'm not like the rest of you.
Of course you are! No, I'm serious. Back when we first met, I think maybe then I did think we were different. But now I know that isn't true. You and I are the same, Shion. We're alike in more ways than you know. If any of us is different, it's me. I'm a Danon who can use magic. I may be the last. My family and I have been living in hiding as long as I can remember.
Everyone has their own pain that can be hard for other people to understand. I saw the two of you talking and thought you could use a third wheel. So, here I am. Sorry.
If anyone's the odd one out here, it's me. Believe me, you don't want to listen to my problems.
Want me to go?
I didn't say that.
I get that you must have a lot circling around that head of yours. And that's okay. Whatever's worrying you right now, you're allowed to worry about it. And you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. I know I'm not a Renin like you, or a mage like Rinwell. I'm not a sovereign, maiden, or lord. I'm just a Danon who used to be a slave. But regardless of all that, I'm here for you, Shion.
That goes for me too. We all want to be there for you. Me and Hootle and even the boys. I promise. I mean, that is what friends are supposed to do, right?
I said this to Alphen, and now I'll say it to you. You're not alone in this.
Thank you. Rinwell. Kisara.
And right on cue, I think I should make my way back and lie down for a bit. My battle with this ship continues.
Yeah, I better head back too. We wouldn't want the guys thinking they're in charge. Can you imagine Law at the helm? Who knows what kind of trouble we'd get into?
Still, if that's true, then it's all the more reason I have to do this.
All right, something is definitely up with Shion.
Yeah, something big by the looks of it. I've never seen her so serious.
So, do you think we should say something to Alphen then?
I was wondering the same thing myself, but then it occurred to me. Whatever this thing on her mind is, it's probably the last thing in the world she wants people to know about. If she's trying this hard to keep it secret, then it's not really our place to go telling people before she's ready.
Yeah.
I can't tell them. There's just no way I could, right? What am I supposed to do?
Ah, Calaglia. Feels like it's been ages.
And wasn't Zephyr with us too?
Dad.
Hey, chin up. This is your hometown.
Everyone around here looks so much happier than they used to.
I'll say. It feels like an entirely different place. I suppose it's had time to adjust to its newfound freedom.
Zephyr would have been so happy to see this.
Yeah, he really would have. Especially if he knew Law was... Law? Something bothering you, Law?
Nah, I'll be fine. It's just, you know.
It still weighs on you, doesn't it? Running away back then.
I abandoned my home. Then when I finally come back, it's been liberated. What's important is that it's free. I get that, I do. I just... I should have been here. This is perfect! I'll have everybody's mouths watering when they see this.
Just one thing after another, and it all falls on my head to...
Hey, Nath.
What? Can't you see I'm... Alphen?
Looks like you have your hands full.
As much as ever. As if I wasn't busy enough putting down the last remnants of Renin rule, I'm up to my ears in Danon disputes. And then, to top it all off, that thing had to come crashing down from out of the sky.
Pretty sure we've heard this somewhere before.
But enough about my problems. What can I help you with?
Yeah, we're looking for an old Renin starship. You wouldn't happen to know any around these parts, would you?
A starship? What do you need one of those for?
To get to Lenegis.
Lenegis? Are you out of your damn mind?
Believe it or not, it wouldn't be the craziest thing we've done recently.
Well, I believe it. Well, either way, I'm afraid I haven't heard anything about a starship.
Then do you have any historical records by chance?
Sure, we've got stacks of old records.
Mind if we take a look at them?
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Nath.
I read through all of the records, but I only found a single line that might point to what we're looking for. It mentions a rock that shot across the sky and landed past the mountains. The event was recorded just before the first Renin invasion.
And you think that might be the starship?
I don't know. There was nothing else in the records that came even close. It looked like it was someplace called Berg, but maybe I'm reading it wrong.
Berg?
That ring any bells for you?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest volcanoes in Calaglia. I was just there recently, investigating a report of a meteor someone saw.
Another meteor in the same area? Really?
I wonder if it could have been one of those lights that shot out of the wedge.
All the more reason to check it out. Can you tell us how to get there?
The old Zion mine is up that way. One of the veins we abandoned connects to the volcano. Go ahead and use that. But you should be careful.
Huh?
I don't know if it has anything to do with the meteor, but there's a giant Zoogle running riot in there. Never seen anything like it.
A Zoogle, huh?
Well, I turned back as soon as I caught sight of the thing, so I can't tell you much more. Just be real careful if you head out that way. All right.
I guess...
Right.
I didn't like the sound of that monster Nath was talking about one bit.
Well, we have to press on. We're going through Zion Mine to Berg Volcano.
Everything okay with Hootle, Rinwell? He seems kinda out of spirits.
It must be the heat getting to him. We don't get these kind of temperatures back in Cislodia.
Calaglians born and raised here struggle with it too, so it's no surprise.
Aha! So that's why his plumage is so white. He was born in a winter wonderland.
Actually, Dan and owls absorb the astral energy of whatever land they're raised in. Where they're born doesn't affect their appearance at all. But that's not why he's white. The real reason is that he's still just a baby. Whew!
You mean their plumage changes color depending on where they grow up? Weird.
And with all this traveling we've been doing, it wouldn't surprise me if his wings ended up looking like a colorful painting.
I think he suits his snowy complexion. It'll feel strange to see him change.
How awesome would it be if his head and wings were different colors? And his stomach and sides, like a map of our travels! Ow, lay off, will ya? So much for the heat making him docile!
You've only yourself to blame for that one. Hootle takes pride in his appearance, you know.
Fascinating. An appreciation of aesthetic beauty in an owlet so young.
Dohalim, I think you've drawn his attention. We should be able to cook here.
It's quite hot here. The climate feels different from Menancia's.
It's gotten much cooler since leaving town, though.
Does that mean eyes were burning holes in us?
Something feels odd here. Be on your guard.
So we're back in the Zion Mine tunnels. Who would have thought we'd be going through this place again? This is where you and I first fought together.
And also the first time we touched, as I recall.
Wait, really?
Yes, really.
So this path is supposed to take us out to Berg Volcano?
We're not gonna see any lava burst out in front of us or anything, are we?
Don't get so paranoid you let a rock fall on your head, Law. Ugh, so hot.
Well, yeah. We've reached the inner portion of Berg Volcano.
We need to find that starship. And fast.
Huh. You can make plants grow instantly? What if we use this for fruits and vegetables?
I'd rather not be our party's fertilizer. Thank you very much.
Was that a tremor just now?
delicious piece of cake.
Rising
Radiant here!
Elusive
Rising
deity!
Phoenix!
Water! Here's my call! It's a duel of the arts! Explosive spear! Pierce evil!
Resonate with the earth!
Go for the weak point!
I'll stop its charge!
Thanks,
The enemy
Kisara!
wields arc too.
We'll soon see about that!
Now I can let loose.
No armor can stop me! Remind me to stay on your good side.
Damn it! Here I come! And I'm coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Here, let me help. Do it!
Double deep down the ground! Demon Press!
Rotating pile driver!
I'm nearly done for.
Take it!
Double Demon Press! Okay, here I go! Demon Press!
Do it! Burning strike! Raging blast! In here!
Hurricane Dust!
Heal!
I'll be
Double Demon Fang! Demon Fang!
Penumbra!
Soaring Blast! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Breath of life!
Demon
I'm ready!
Fang!
First aid!
Looks like you can
Astral energy!
say no more. This should make for some good weapon crafting material.
That equipment should come in handy.
Retreat if you know what's good for you.
First aid!
Now I can let loose.
Here I come!
I'm ready!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished.
I shall ensure you survive this.
Flying
free? Why can't they just sit still?
Sia, can you take care of them?
No sooner said than done!
Coldblade Alpha!
Winds of heaven!
I'm in your debt, boy. Astral Art?
That's my cue!
Shut him down.
Faith and blood.
Here I come! We did it!
As impressive as always.
Here I hope that was
No, I mean, you're even better than ever. I've never seen Sion actually look flustered.
Astral energy! Full throttle! We won that by a mile! This will be a delicious piece of cake!
Resonate with the earth!
They got me flanked! Into the shadows!
I'm on it! Blazing flame! All this is here and now!
Holy Lamp!
I'm ready! ST airborne. Light burst forth!
Radiant Genesis! You don't mess around!
Certainly not.
Here we go! Hurricane! Mega Ray! Inferno Punch! Dragon Show! Holy Lamp!
Tear you apart!
Leave the enemy's arc to me!
No complaints here!
Burning Strike!
Right!
Here we go!
Elusive deity!
Inferno Punch! Water! Hear my call!
I'm ready!
Fierce Astral Energy! Full throttle!
This could be useful.
He's gone!
thick is armor.
I'll finish you here and now!
Do it! I've got here! Let a marksman handle it there with the others.
Heal! All yours! I'll bash in their defenses!
Glad you have your uses. Hear my call!
I'll show you how useful I can be!
Glacial spear. Here's the evil.
Dragon shell!
Water. Hear my call. Lightning ray. Swallow this.
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! Eat this! Hurricane! I'm ready! Now I'm in the groove! He who prepares.
Sleep now.
Talon hurricane!
Hey,
it was nice while it lasted.
Take it. Here's the
How dare you! I'm sorry to be a bug.
We've all got enough energy.
Yes, ma'am!
This will come handy.
Super swallow day! I'm just getting started! Talon hurricane! Eagle's eye! I'll finish you here and now! I'm ready!
This one's got your name on it.
Ashes to ashes! Step back! This one's all law!
My face is starting to sting, and my throat feels super parched.
Here, have some water. Just make sure you don't drink too much.
Thanks.
You want some too, Shion? Oh, wait. I bet you're hungry more than anything, aren't you?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Let's dispose of the trash.
Resonate with the earth!
Don't mind if I do.
Stalagmite! On blazing blade! Swallow dare! What's this? It cools up! Time to get out of the way!
Raging cascade.
Negative gate!
You got company.
A charge like that could easily be fatal.
Just as well, I'm
You'll have fire around here again.
I can show you mine if you like.
That would be really awesome.
Be my guest! Everlasting shock! Swallow dare!
This one.
I'll take you! Now I'm in the groove! Talon storm!
Whirling struggle.
I'm just getting started! You see what happened there as you crossed me? Shouldn't have done that!
Winds at Titan. I'm all in here.
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! Talon storm!
Glacial spear. Here's the evil.
All good things come to an end. Watch it!
I'm radiant all here.
Swallow
Glacial
dare!
spear. Now here's the evil. Freeze lancer.
I'll finish you here and now!
Air thrust. Now. Reload.
I'm practically unstoppable. No backing down!
Water. Hear my call. Lightning.
I'm on.
Raging cascade. Here's the evil.
Stay calm. I shall provide
Between
assistance. Are those rocks in his hands?
I'm
just getting
You all stepped away. The flashing parts are weak point. First aid. Down on the
Eat this! All good things come to an end. Down on the ground. Oh, now I'm real mad. I'll tear you apart. I'm just getting started. I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! Dust to dust! Everlasting dust! Watch it!
Hear me! Flame of fury! Here's evil! The flames will roll! In here! Here's a healing rod has the way!
That frickin' does it!
Just what I needed! I'll please start!
First strike! Dragon
Here's
Shell!
a healing art! First
I
aid!
really owe you one. I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! I'm on a roll now!
First
Talon
aid!
storm!
Into the shadow! Raging storm! Mega Ray! Thunderblaze! Now! Story! This one's got your name on it!
Ashes to ashes, a merry distraction.
There's still more to go! Rains of heaven! Here's the evil!
Crumble!
In here!
Super swallow
Get out of
dead!
there with
You
your
too much. Roll now!
In here!
Rip and tear! I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw!
Lightning!
Eat that! Now I'm in the
All
green!
right.
Spear! Eagle fly! Soaring blast! Storm!
Oh, violent guardian!
Elusive deity!
In here!
I'll tear you apart! Whirlwind snap! Burn you into dust!
Now!
On your... Hey! Blow them away! Step back! This one's all law!
Looks like some solid equipment. There!
This bridge will hold itself together, right?
Most definitely. Though I won't make any promises.
Which one is it?
Get lost! Here! Not on my watch! We're coming through!
Tempest!
This one's mine!
Talon hurricane! Now you see what I can do!
By the power of
In a bind!
Trainer can't be
I'm ready! Goodwill! Demons descend! Flashing fang!
Easy! Way to go!
Tectonic punch!
Don't mind if I do!
Blazing burn!
Lunar
All
corruption!
far enough! Super swallow damage! Goodwill! Demons descend! Flashing fang!
They're surrounding us! Celestial hammer! Ice prison! Mega ray!
Resonate with the earth! I'll tear you apart! On your
Here I go! Go!
Talon hurricane! Burn! Ready and raring!
Far beyond
Lunar corruption! Shell!
I call Gemini Aqua! If it's in the sky, it's mine!
Fang blast!
Sleep now! Mega
You see what happened there as you crossed me?
Shouldn't have done that! Hear me! Flame of fury! Nice, Law!
Leave it all to luck!
Hey! I'm here too, you know!
I'll crush you! this! Tenebrous Claw!
Lady Fortune must truly be watching over me. Retreat if you know what's good for you.
Freaking does it!
Shine!
Radiant
Mind if
light!
I do?
Force
Already
regeneration!
Burning strike!
Regenerate! Now I'm in the groove!
Don't suffer in silence.
Begin! Now I'm in the groove!
Winds of
Reflect
heaven!
on Target down! I'm ready! Strike the wind! Hey! Ha! Blow them away! You can use martial arts too?
Am I overstepping my bounds?
It's crazy to see rocks melt before our eyes.
Watch where you're going, everyone. If you fall, there will be nothing left of you.
Exactly. So don't try anything funny.
I won't
Anything in
forgive
armor
you!
is all mine! I'll smash you! Penumbra!
No! I never miss! Lightning
There!
Hey!
When did I get so popular?
Holy land! Between heaven and earth. By the
Take
a
this!
wailing banshee
Now I'm
lightning
in it! Now you see what I can do! Go time!
You get
Target down!
Let's do it! Blah, blah, blah.
Charge!
Get toasty!
Burn strike!
Right, next one.
Already on!
Feel.
Now you see what I can do! Light.
Here goes explosion! Hear me! Laser time!
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous Claw!
Here, let me
I'm
help.
on it! Watch this! Burn!
Darling, hear my call.
Eat this! I'll finish you here and now!
Hear my call.
I'm ready!
Glacial spear. Pierce evil. Energy. Freeze lancer.
Another incantation ruined.
Stars of light. Rain down.
Leave the chargers to me!
Air pressure!
Meteor storm. Doing struggle, right? Wind of heaven. Burn spark.
Talon Vortex! Inferno punch! Down on the ground! Storm!
Magic is there. Sleep now. I'll be saving this one.
Pressure strike!
On your knees.
Rending you apart! These sticks have got your name on them! Stalagmite! I'll tear you apart! Super! It was nice while it was. Up now, I'm in the groove!
Now!
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous Claw! One deadly strike, just as ordered.
I won't forgive you!
Resonate
the
with the
flames will
earth!
roar!
I'll
Radiant
smash
fire!
you!
Burning here! Dance in the wind!
Not today!
Here! Not on my watch! You have to aim for the bright area on their back!
I'll tear
Can't
you
get out of
apart!
this!
Dragon down!
The flashing part's their weak point!
Resonate with the earth!
Magic
Now
is
you
there!
see what I can do!
Stalagmite!
Here, let me help!
Can you take it?
Between heaven and earth!
I really owe you.
A whale ready! Lunar corruption! Telling your dream! Lunar blast! Watch and
No dawn shall bring you.
Talon Hurricane!
You should have weary companions.
Crumble! Kill! Talon Storm! I'll finish you here and now! Now I'm in trouble. I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous Claw!
Shine! Radiant light!
Inspiration!
Force of
Time for one
regeneration!
more!
Then the sky is mine!
Talon Hurricane! Now I'm in the groove!
pretty lucky.
What the hell is that thing?
Probably that monster Nath warned us about, if I had to guess.
Do you think this might have been where one of those lights that shot out of the wedge landed?
But why this location? If the purpose of the wedge is to harvest Dana's astral energy.
We can figure that out later. If that thing gets into town, it's going to cause chaos. We need to take it down and move on. Let's go! This one's tough, but we have no choice.
Let me know if you need healing.
Here it comes! Focus!
On your toes, everyone.
Suddenly turning tail doesn't seem so ridiculous.
Why? Are you scared?
Me? Are you?
Do you even have to ask? Of course I'm scared.
Focus up before we become that thing's lunch.
It's summoning Zoogles? Take care of them while keeping an eye on it.
Rising light!
Air thrust!
Not today!
That could easily be fatal.
Just as well, I'm here to stop.
In a bind?
Air thrust! First aid! You get the gist.
Armor won't save you!
You're being caught. Please focus. Dance in the wind! Air thrust! Dance in the wind! Air thrust! No more playing night! Rain down and purify all! I never miss! Denied! Searing flame! Meteor! Storm! Here's the evil! Blah, blah, blah! Magic! Freeze Lancer! All disasters made one! Here's a healing force! A healing security!
Can't get out of this!
Maelstrom! Burning strike! Glacial spear! Here's the evil!
Punishment?
Stay away from my friend!
Freeze Lancer!
Burn!
Hit! I'll bring you back from death to
Swallow blade!
One!
I'll smash you! I owe you one. Demon Fang! Down on the ground! Fluidity of your
Airdrop! Dance in the wind! Airdrop! All disasters made one! Come forth and heal its purity!
Leave the charges to me!
All disasters magic is in!
Anything in armor is all mine!
This one's got your name on it!
Action to action! A merry
Dance in the
distraction!
wind! There's still more to go! Dance in the wind! Airdrop!
Can't get out of this!
Dance in the
On
wind!
your knees!
Air thrust! Dance in
Now you see what I can do!
air thrust! All disasters!
Eat dirt! Negative gate!
I never miss! Oh, Sparkler!
Showtime! Demon Fang!
Here, let me help! Meteor storm! Magic is in! Air thrust! Blah, blah, blah! Air thrust! You get the gist! Air
Resonate with
thrust!
the earth! Stalagmite!
Hold on to your arm! Here I come! Maelstrom! Hear my call! Hit! Glacial spear! Here's evil!
Now, while it's
Go
reeling!
get it! Take it down!
No further!
Blah, blah, blah! Air thrust! Here's a healing arm! Air thrust! Neon! Astral energy! Full throttle!
Benediction light.
First aid!
Here come more! You'll just have to keep fighting.
Gemini Aqua! Don't mind
The
if I
enemy
here
wields ours
goes!
too.
Here, we'll see about that! First aid! Air cannon! Flame of fury! All disasters made one! Come forth and heal its purity! Here's the evil!
Don't get carried away! This one's mine! Breath of life! Heal my weary companion! Kill! I'll smash you!
Eat dirt! I'll bring you back from death to life! Resuscitate! Where are you going? I still got the fight left in me! By the power of
Negative
flame!
gate!
Finish
Prepare to be
far
free!
enough!
Dazzle! Rising spell!
Maelstrom! All disasters made one! Come forth and heal its purity! Maelstrom! I can do this all day! Blah, blah, blah! Hold on
Can't
to
get
your
out
arm!
of this!
Here I come!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
All disasters made one! Come forth and heal its purity! Maelstrom! All disasters made one! Close one! I'm right, close one! Here, let me help! Thanks so much!
Regenerate! Don't suffer in silence.
Reinforcements incoming! Not a problem! Don't mind if I do. Hold on to your arm. Here I come!
Eagle Ray! Burn!
Maelstrom! Where are you going? Too much to handle?
Benediction.
All disasters made one! Magic and corruption!
In a bind?
Sorry. I didn't want to put you out.
What our friends for if we can't depend on them.
You're right.
Art field!
I'll bear that in mind.
All disasters made one!
that a healing art?
It
It is. I can't ignore your pain.
Don't
try to be more careful.
All disasters made one!
Armor won't save you! Soaring light spear!
Hold on to your art. Here I come!
Death shall not
You get the gist. Air thrust! You get the gist. Air thrust!
Being interrupted.
Close one! You get the gist. Air thrust!
Burn!
Take care of...
Forgive me. This is my fault.
Just what the doctor ordered! I can't hold on much longer! Air thrust!
Ready and ready!
Just what the
Charge to me! No! Can't end here! Far enough! Let us take to the fray!
Go get all disasters
Imbue
made
this
one!
vanquished
Come
soul with
forth
life.
and heal the Maelstrom! All disasters...
You're mine!
I never miss! Hold on to your art. Here I come! First, I owe you, Sion.
Healing is what my arts do best.
Nice work!
All mine can do is cause havoc and destruction. By the power of light. One more time! Whoa! Hey! What is this? This one's got your name on it!
Ashes to ashes. Shine. Radiant light.
All disasters made one. Come forth and he's not in your art expert coming through! Air thrust! You get the gist. Air thrust! Blah, blah, blah. Air thrust! You get the gist. Go for it!
Prepare to crumble.
Here's a healing maneuver! Air thrust! Blah, blah, blah. Not on my watch! Mega ray! You get the gist.
I'm ready!
Neon! Astral energy! Full throttle! A flawless victory! Made one! Come naturally!
Bloody howling.
More time!
Air pressure. Rending you apart. Bloody howling.
All disasters made one! Come forth, a helix of purity! Maelstrom! It's about to strike!
Look sharp, everyone!
Everyone all right?
We won't surrender. We won't retreat. Not yet.
Whatever you do, just please stay safe.
Resuscitation!
How are we supposed to take on something so big?
I'll handle it. Just
Alvin!
watch and learn. That's enough! Go back down! Everyone okay?
Yeah, I think so.
That thing scared the pants off me.
It felt like it had a different aura than other Zeugles, didn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't like the one that Almadria sicked on us either.
Its elemental astral energy variance was out of this world. It was like fighting a lord.
I guess it's safe to assume that if it came out of the wedge, it must have played some part in helping harvest astral energy. But what?
Perhaps a living spirit vessel? It's plausible, given the location. Or it may be part of a new force dispatched to regain control of Dana.
If we assume that monster was one of the 4 beams of light, we must have prevented something from taking place here.
I'd like to think so, knowing how much grief it gave us. But at least with that out of the way, we can keep moving forward now. Let's go. I can feel my power growing!
We should think about eating soon.
Really? Not all that hungry myself.
Don't make me say it again.
Yeah, good idea.
Hey, is that it over there?
Did we really just spend that much money?
Alphen?
Did you remember something?
No, but I have seen this starship before. This is it. This is the ship I traveled in when I escaped from Lenegis.
Three centuries later, and it's no worse for wear. I'll take a look at the internals.
Damn! I'm amazed it still works at all after all this time.
The past meets the present. I really am from a different time and place.
Yeah, but you've got us now, Alphen.
Not only that, but you've helped out so many people, too.
Law's right. Rinwell too. You're one of us now. No more carrying the weight of history on your shoulders. You're a part of this world.
Right. Thanks, you guys.
How's it look?
It should fly. All internal systems seem to be operating. However, considering how long it's remained inactive, I suspect it will take some time before it's ready for takeoff.
How much time are we talking here?
Starship mechanics are not what I'd call my forte, so I'd rather not hazard a guess.
So we've just got to sit around here and wait? I'm terrible at waiting.
That's because you're a child. Oh, but how about we use this time to prepare and gather supplies for the trip?
Good idea. Who knows when we'll be back from Lenegis once we leave? We should prepare ourselves for every possible scenario before we go.
Let's try not to stay away too long. I'd hate for anything to happen to the place while we're gone.
Either we race ahead, or we take due precaution to ensure we have no regrets. I shall leave it up to you as to how we proceed, Alphen.
Works for me.
It's funny, isn't it?
What is?
All this. When we first started this thing, did you ever imagine we'd be going to Lenegis? After all, this is the sort of thing I was rebelling against when I ran away from home, right?
I'm sure Zephyr would be proud if he knew what his son was doing right now.
And a little shocked, too.
We're defying the order of things that have persisted for 300 years. Deep down, I knew our journey would lead to confronting Lenegis.
Yeah, you maybe, but you're a Renin. The rest of us can barely even picture what it means to leave Dana.
No offense to Shion and Dohalim, but it's worth remembering we're heading into enemy territory.
No offense taken, and this is no picnic for me either.
Remember, our aim is to ensure that both Lenegis and the Renin homeworld leave Dana alone for good. I don't think we'll be able to avoid a fight.
Is there no way we can talk them into leaving us alone?
The people of Lenegus?
Sure. I mean, we found a way to make it work with Xion and Dohalim, right? And it's not just us. If places like Menancia can do it, then why can't we?
Because there are still many of my kind who believe it was right and natural that Rena reigns over Dana. There are those on Lenegus who have never stepped foot on Dana. I doubt whether they'd even listen to Danans.
Look, none of us want to fight. But these are the same people who fired that wedge down on Dana. What happens next is on them.
Right. We're not going to sit back and wait for them to oppress us again.
Right.
Don't forget, there's also a good chance the Red Woman is somewhere on Lenegus. And wherever she is, we should find the Renaissance too.
That's right. If we can take it back, then Xion can finally get rid of her thorns. Xion?
Huh? Yeah.
Where? Xion? Where'd Xion go? How could she just go off on her own? Xion. Xion! It's your thorns? But why? You okay? Just now, it looked like you used your maiden powers to suppress your thorns. You can really do that?
Stay out of my way.
Wait a second. Are you planning to go alone?
Shut up!
Why would you do this?
I told you to shut up!
I won't let you.
I mean it.
I refuse to let you.
I won't tell you again. Move or I'll shoot.
If that's the case, then go ahead and shoot me!
Do you remember back when I was stabbed? By Volron?
Yeah. I thought for sure that he had killed you back there.
That wasn't the first time.
Huh?
The first time was when I was only a child. After that, no matter how often, I just couldn't die.
Couldn't die? So you're immortal? How's that even...
I believe you, Xion. But tell me how is something like that possible?
My thorns. They're me, but at the same time not. They're part of me. I have no idea why, but my thorns will never let me die. At least not before I'm meant to.
You can't die before your death?
When my thorns free themselves, it will be my death. I've seen it. A darkness that swallows up everything until nothing remains. It's a vision of oblivion I can't escape. I want to believe it's all just a bad dream. But no matter what I tell myself, I know it's not.
Yeah, but you... Wait. The whole reason you needed the Renaissance was to get rid of your thorns, right?
If I burn away what's inside, then what will happen to the rest of me? Right. Either way you look at it, I'm going to die. But if I am going to die, I figure I can at least take my thorns out with me. That's what I've been after this whole time.
That's why you turned your back on your fellow Renans and chose to fight with us, isn't it? And while we've all been fighting to keep on living, you have been with us fighting desperately to die.
That was the plan. But then I met all of you. And before I knew it, I didn't want to die anymore.
Shion, don't lose hope yet. We'll find a way to save you. There's still time to.
It's pointless.
Why?
Because the darkness won't just consume me. The truth is, it will consume all of existence as well. It was only a suspicion at first, but ever since the Red Woman triggered my maiden powers, I've been more certain than ever before. It was then that I finally came to realize my powers were holding my thorns in check the entire time. But they don't anymore. Not since Lenegis, when the wedge fell. Every day, I feel the thorn's power growing stronger inside of me. Pretty soon, I won't be able to hold them back anymore. And when that happens,
They will consume all existence.
And that's why you wanted to leave by yourself. You planned to find the Renaissance on your own and sacrifice yourself to stop the thorns.
But that's... too much. It's way too much.
when this all began, I didn't care what happened to me or anyone else. And what happened to the Renans or the Danans didn't matter to me at all. I know I have to die, but I don't want to. Not now that I have this. I wish we had never met. Then I wouldn't have to feel this way.
Shion!
Alvin?
Only living for the sake of dying is no better than being a slave. How can you endure this?
Alvin.
It's not fair. I don't care what anybody says. I won't let it happen! We can fight this! We'll fight until the end together. Isn't that what you said to me before?
Even if it should mean that it'll be the end of everything else, too?
Shion, what do you want? It's your decision, ultimately. But if you decide not to fight fate, I will. Even if I have to do it alone.
No. You won't be alone. I'll fight as well.
Count me in as well. I want to be a force for good, not hate.
And me too. I meant it with all of my heart when I told you before. Neither of you are alone in this at all.
You guys...
And I, for one, don't believe this venture is without hope.
Huh?
Shion is the descendant of a maiden from 300 years ago. Given the circumstances, it seems very likely that those events have some connection to her thorns. The true nature of which, I imagine we will discover as we make our way to Lenegis and uncover the truth of what's unfolding here.
I take it you mean we might find a way to get rid of her thorns and she'll live?
It's certainly possible. Though I suspect the nature of the Sovereign is connected somehow.
So be it. I've already lost everything I had once. And I won't let it happen again. Shion. No matter what happens from now on, we're right here with you. All of us are. You are not alone.
You guys... You're all so stubborn. Thank you, everyone. For right now, and a little while longer, I just want to hold on to this dream. And most of all, more than anything else, I want to be with all of you. So let's go. On to Lenegis.
The end of the world. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
I believe Shion is telling the truth. What about you?
As a friend, yes, I want to believe her. Everything that's happened seems to point towards some sort of great danger that's lurking ahead of us. Still, it's hard to fathom something that could usher outright doom to the world. That those really are the stakes we face.
No, I understand. Even Shion doesn't seem to know exactly what will happen to bring it all about.
We have so many pieces of the puzzle in our hands, so many clues, yet the complete picture eludes us.
So where do her thorns fit in then?
Well, I imagine they must sit at the very center of it all. You remember the voice we all heard while we were inside the wedge, don't you?
Yeah, I remember. It was the will of Dana's astral energy come to life. Or that's what we all thought.
Right. And from that, we're able to hypothesize how vast concentrations of astral energy can become sentient. Let's return to when we found Shion in Pelegion. When her thorns went wild, they contained far more astral energy than any mere Renin would normally have inside them.
So you think those thorns might be alive too? That their will is what keeps her from dying? But why would they want to destroy the entire world?
As for that, I really cannot say for certain. Its goals still remain a mystery. It may be a mere fluke that her maiden powers have been able to contain it thus far.
You know, I've noticed since we've met that you like figuring out riddles.
Can you blame me? When one realizes that the world they once thought to be true is but a mere facade, they can't help but seek the truth. Especially when that deception has led to others getting hurt.
Dohalim?
I imagine the remaining pieces of the puzzle that we seek rest somewhere within Lenegis. As for what the final picture will look like, who can say? I think it's best we not dwell on it too much for the time being.
Right.
How you holding up?
Who, me?
Yes, you. You took a hit from those thorns again, didn't you?
Oh, that? That was nothing.
Compared to what Shion's going through, you mean? Still, even if you yourself might be willing to endure that kind of pain, that doesn't mean Shion wants to have to see you get hurt by her thorns, you know?
Yeah, I know. I'll be careful.
Shion doesn't know how lucky she is to have you around, you know? Dashing in to save her at the last minute.
Yeah, very funny.
I'm being serious. You went up and held her close like you still had that mask on, and you didn't even bat an eye. She really needed that. That's what I mean when I said you saved her. Just like you did with the rest of us.
I just want for Shion what we all have. The ability to touch someone without the fear of killing them. Those thorns have robbed her of the kind of everyday things we all take for granted. And it's not right.
You can say that again. It may be normal for us, but that doesn't make it any less special or important for her. I hope she gets what she wants. I have my own dreams, but a world without her, where she dies so we can all survive, isn't a world I want to live in.
Agreed. It's like more and more keeps getting taken from her, and I'm done with it. Can't sleep?
After everything we just heard, how could I?
Fair enough.
Shion's had to deal with so much on her own. Even when we were all laughing and celebrating, she just kept quiet and didn't say anything. I thought she was keeping her distance because of her thorns. That it was because she didn't want to hurt anybody by getting too close. I just figured that that was the type of person she was, you know? But it turned out to be none of that. All this time, she felt like she had to die and sacrifice herself for the greater good. But even then, she didn't think she could say anything to us about it.
I know.
She was so alone this entire time. How could I call her a friend and yet be so completely blind to everything she was going through?
I'm sure it made her happy, knowing you were there for her.
You really think so?
Yeah, I do. If she didn't think of us as friends, I don't think she could have ever opened up to us like that. You were a good friend to her before, and you'll be an even better one now.
Yeah, I really hope so. I want to be the best I can for her. When you think about it, we were all alone in our own way. But over time, we've all found ways to let each other into our lives. I hope Shion's able to do that one day too. No, I mean, I hope she's able to do that more. Lots and lots more. I think it'd be really nice if we could all just be there to support each other when it really counts. And forget about our grudges and pain.
Rinwell.
Did you know?
You mean about Shion?
Yeah, I didn't have the slightest idea. I mean, every once in a while I thought something seemed a little off, but I never could have imagined. It's like a completely different world was spinning around me and I couldn't even see it.
You and me both. I mean, I knew something was bothering her, but I could never quite figure out what it was.
You? But you're the one always looking out for her, aren't you?
That's what I thought. But in reality, I didn't understand it all. What I thought was helping and being there for her was actually just driving her into a corner.
At least you figured it out in time, though, right?
I don't think we're out of the woods yet. But yeah, you're right. We brought her back from the edge, and we're going to stop those thorns from taking her, no matter what.
Yeah, with all of us together, there's nothing we can't handle. Shion, the world, we can save everyone. And I mean it when I say we, Alphen.
I know. No lone wolfing it.
Hey, you're the expert on what my dad would say. Do you think he'd pat me on the back or tell me off?
Zephyr, I don't think that he'd have that much to say, to be honest. You're your own man now, Law. And you've already made up your own mind about what you want.
I guess he couldn't say anything even if he wanted to.
Law.
Sorry. I guess those of us amongst the living have enough problems to deal with, don't we? We'll need all our strength to save Shion. I'll probably end up worrying again at some point, but I guess I'll think it over more then. That okay?
Yeah, I think it is. Hey, you doing all right?
I seem to cause nothing but worry. As much as I try to look like I have things under control, everyone still worries about me.
You're not the only one.
Hey, do you remember the first time you said I was your friend?
No? When was that? Sorry, I can't remember.
That's okay. It came so naturally to you, I'm not surprised you forgot. I was different back then. The Danans were not even people to me, and I knew I would always be alone. But in that room with Deadheim, when you called me your friend, it just shattered the wall that I'd built up around me. Because until that moment, I'd only seen you as a means to an end. I thought of you as a way to use the blazing sword, and to obtain the Renis Alma. But after that day, one time became two, and before I knew it, you'd made a habit of calling me and Dohalim your friends. It didn't matter that we were Renins. You cared about us as you would any other people. Then, everyone else started to call me their friend too. To think of me as their friend. Before then, I never even dreamed I could have that. I didn't want to die and lose you all. But I also didn't want to live if it meant you would all die in my place.
Shion.
But then, I realized I'd only really been thinking of myself that entire time. After saying how I felt, and hearing what you all had to say, I finally understood that. Don't worry, it's okay. I'm not planning on dying anymore. I've met too many people along the way who I truly care about to give in now. So I'll fight. For Dana and for myself. I'll fight against my fate to preserve our future. And I'll win, come hell or high water. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I won't let the world end because of me.
It's going to be a long, hard road ahead, Shion. Our fight won't be over until everyone, both Danans and Renins, can finally live in peace. But I swear I'll be there with you, until the very end.
Thank you.
Remember what we learned back in Calaglia? There's no wall so high that we can't break it down.
Yeah, I think you may be right about that.
Everyone well rested? Then let's... Let's go. We depart for Lenegis.
Well, it's the moment of truth.
This lady better hold together once we're up in the air.
Law, don't say that. You're going to jinx us.
Speaking of which, Alphen, this bucket of bolts got a name?
A name? You know, I'm not sure she ever had one. I never really thought about it.
Well, after all the trouble we went through to find her, we should give her one, right? I was thinking something like...
Fall Knights.
Huh?
It means owl in the ancient tongue. Literally, the one drawn to the skies.
I like it. Sounds perfect for our little escapade.
Not sure I'm completely convinced, but... Well, it's as good a name as any. From now on, she'll be known as the Fall Knights.
Okay, people. We have two goals. First, we need to get to Lenegis and make the Renans finally leave Dana alone. And then, we need to figure out the truth behind Shion's thorns and find a way to save her. Sound good? All right, then let's go.
You know, I can still hardly believe it.
Believe what?
I mean, just look at it. The whole of existence, crammed inside a tiny frame.
Now that you mention it, I guess you're right. It does look more like a painting than a living, breathing world.
From up here, all the struggles we've been through feel so insignificant.
Nothing like realizing how small you are to put everything into perspective. Kinda makes the differences between the Renans and the Danans feel pretty small too, huh?
How much longer until we reach Lenegis?
There are better ways to use your time than napping. We should take a moment to familiarize ourselves with the facilities on board before arrival.
Good idea. The starship may end up serving as our base of operations once we're down there. Think you'll be all right with the controls?
You mean the one set to automatic pilot? I dare say I'll manage. I'm basically just here to supervise.
In that case, she's all yours.
Everything okay, Shion? You seem a little different.
Different? Like in a bad way different?
No, not at all. You seem more driven lately, like you found a zest for life. It suits you.
You okay? Feeling airsick?
Actually, now that you mention it, not at all. These starships are a remarkably smooth ride, all things considered. Nothing like being at sea, thank goodness.
Glad to hear it. That device there caught your eye, huh?
I was just wondering what it is. It looks big enough to fit a person inside of it.
It's a healing pod. It fixes injuries and illnesses.
Oh, you don't say. Well, that should definitely come in handy if any of us get injured while we're down there. Alphen? Was it something I said?
No, I was just thinking back to when I escaped Lenegis, that's all. What with the ceremony and losing control, I was a total mess. Naori laid me inside here.
So, you're saying you got in this thing straight after escaping? But that'd mean you were inside for 300 years?
Yes, it sounds crazy, I know. But don't even ask me why I stayed asleep all that time.
That's definitely quite some lie-in, all right. But still, whether you meant to or not, I sure am glad that it's this century that you finally woke up in.
What do you mean?
With the amount of fighting we've done, we would have never made it this far without you. And not only that, but... Alphen, can you recall back to what it is that I said to you? Back when we left Menancia? About the dream of coexistence, and needing to learn what it entailed?
Of course. That's why you came with us, right? To learn what you couldn't at home.
Even in that time, I was well aware that what I was living was a lie. But at the same time, I also felt really compelled to fulfill my brother's wishes. I'll always remember him fondly. But the coexistence we're fighting for isn't for him. It's for people now, and those still to come. The world's bigger than just Menancia. My dream is for all Danans, wherever they might be, to be free. If I've learned anything on this journey, it's that. And the one who brought me along was you, Alphen. I'll forever be grateful to you.
Well, we're not out of this forest just yet. You should probably save your thanks. At least, until we've dealt with the Red Woman.
I know. But whatever we find when we get down there, I'm through looking the other way.
Kisara.
Probably getting a little ahead of myself, huh? Let's take things one step at a time.
Hey, Alphen, listen to this! So Law and I were just talking and...
Hey, shut up!
What's got Law all flustered?
Only that he's afraid of flying, the big baby. And after all that fuss he made about naming the ship, too.
Hey, I never said I was scared. I just think it's, you know, a little unsettling how we're going to be cruising through space in a glorified tin can. That's all.
It's a starship, dummy. That's what it's supposed to do. I don't think there's anything strange about it.
Well, maybe you're the one with the problem then.
Guys. I'm no expert, but I think we can trust Renin technology. It got me to Dana in one piece, remember?
Oh, that's a good point. If you think so, Alphen, it must be okay. Don't you agree, Law?
Hard to argue with that, seeing how you hitched a ride in one of these things before, Alphen. It's just wrong, okay?
We'll be going to Lenegis soon.
This must feel like a homecoming of sorts to you, huh? What was life on Lenegis like back then? You know, before you came to Dana.
Let's just say, I don't have many happy memories. I've had thorns my whole life, for as long as I can remember. They called it treatment, but in truth, they were just using me as a guinea pig for their research.
You mean, they experimented on you?
That's right. All I was to them was a riddle to solve. They poked and prodded me, trying to figure out what triggered my thorns or changed the form they took. Day in and day out, every single day, one test after another. I'm still surprised they didn't try to dissect me. The look they gave me whenever one of them touched my skin. How could I forget it? Reeling from the pain, like I was a monster or something. Some existence, huh? A blight on any I touched. Helplessly complicit in their pain. I thought things couldn't get any worse. But then they did. I started to have nightmares, visions of the coming apocalypse. Is it any wonder I lacked a cheery disposition? Unable to so much as touch another soul. Loneliness was my best friend. Sure, I survived, but with the knowledge that one day I'd be swallowed up by oblivion. That's when it hit me. If I was going to die, then it should mean something. If I have to sacrifice myself to save the world, so be it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you relive that.
No, it's fine. I'm in a much better place now.
You say it's your destiny to die so that others can live. But why not the other way around? Why shouldn't we be the ones dying to save you?
Are you crazy? Why would you sacrifice your life for...
That's exactly my point. Why should you have to give up your life just because you drew the short straw in the destiny stakes? How is that even right? It's that logic that's used to justify slavery, as if some of us were just meant to be sacrificed. This struggle was never about saving only ourselves. But that doesn't mean we have to give up our own lives to save everyone else's either. If we're doing this to protect people, if we're doing this to save the world from destruction, then that has to include saving each other as well.
A world free of sacrifice. That's what you've been fighting for all along, isn't it?
Not just me. We're in this together, remember? This fight is yours too, Xion. If we're going to win, everyone has to win. There can be no room for losers in this fight. Now I see it. The true nature of our struggle.
A victory without losers. But that means that a Dahnan victory over Rena can't be the end. Do you think we can pull it off?
You bet we can pull it off. We have to. It's the only hope we have of things ever changing.
Yeah, you're right. No one's ever changed the future without aiming for the stars. We can do this. Together.
Is something wrong?
No. I was merely thinking how it had been 7 years, that's all.
You mean since you became a lord and left Lenegis? I guess even someone like you can get homesick, huh?
I am as prone to sentimentality as any other. Tell me, though, you too have a history with Lenegis. A traumatic one, no less. This trip will probably mean facing up to some difficult emotions. Doesn't that frighten you?
Well, it is a place where I took the lives of countless people. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about it. But I can't keep running forever. The past is what it is. There's no changing that. But the future's what we make it.
I see.
Dohalim?
Forgive me. I was wrong to pry. We have more pressing matters to address. Come back and speak to me when you've finished looking around the ship. Is everyone about ready? We'll soon be making preparations to land.
Before we do that, just what exactly should we expect when we get down there?
Kisara has a point. Now that I think of it, I don't know the first thing about Lenegis.
I'd like to hear more too. It's been centuries since I was last there, and they didn't exactly give me the grand tour.
Very well. First and foremost, Lenegis was the base of operations in charge of the crown contest on Dahna. Of course, it also happens to be a city in its own right, complete with its own independent society. Its social structure is based on a strict hierarchy. Put simply, the strength of an individual's astral arts carries great weight.
Enough to determine someone's social rank, you mean? But astral arts are innate, right? So people's positions are fixed at birth.
They can be honed with the right training, and there are admittedly other factors at play. But yes, that's basically the gist. As a result, family lines that churn out lords and their contenders wield disproportionate influence, and those lineages are treated as nobility.
Those capable of only weak astral arts are effectively an underclass, denied the right to descend to Dana even if they wanted to. Still, even the lowest rung on the Renin ladder is considered superior to being a Danon. Keep that in mind down there.
Thanks for the warning. As a lord, Dohalim must have been pretty high up in the pecking order, right? What about you, Shion?
Come on, you've seen her skill with astral arts. You really need to ask?
Fair point.
On arts alone, you're right. I'd have been sitting pretty. But you're forgetting my thorns. They weren't exactly an invitation to high society.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's refreshing to be around someone who says what they're thinking. Life's less complicated that way.
Jeez, give backhanded compliments much?
Wait a second. Are you? He is! Lost blushing!
I am not!
Of course, separating people into castes based on something arbitrary like arts is discrimination at its worst. As if such simplistic criteria could ever be a measure of someone's worth.
So this red woman, are we expecting to find her on Lenegis?
I would wager so. Lenegis is too deeply involved in all this to discard the possibility. Chances are she's also connected to the Renis Alma being stolen from us in Pelegion.
If the Renis Alma is being used to exploit Dana, we need to take it back at all costs.
That red woman's got a lot to answer for. Just as well I've got a ton of questions.
We're about to land. The descent could be a little bumpy, so brace yourselves.
If there are clues about your thorns out there, Shion, we'll find them. There's no one here. I wasn't expecting a welcome mat, but still.
Lenegis's infrastructure is largely automated. Besides, people won't be expecting incoming traffic while the crown contest is still underway.
Do you think anyone realizes that we're here?
We may not have received a royal welcome, but I doubt our entrance went unnoticed. Don't let your guard down.
I really hope we don't have to fight anybody while we're here.
So now what? We've come all this way on a hunch that this red woman is here, right? And if we're lucky, the Renis Alma too. Any idea where we should start looking?
There is an area of the city that is accessible only to the Sovereigns, known as the Forbidden Zone. That seems as good a place as any for us to start.
Forbidden? What are they hiding?
I don't know, hence my desire to find out. Fortunately, we just so happen to have a Sovereign in our midst. In any case, changing the shape of a huge structure such as Lenegis would have required an immense source of power.
Then you think that source might have been the Renis Alma?
Precisely. Alphen said that he remembered the Renis Alma being used in the spirit channeling ceremony 3 centuries ago. Whatever the ceremony's purpose, if preparations are underway for it to be held once more, then the Renis Alma might be in the same place as last time, possibly together with the Red Woman. Hiding something of that worth in the residential quarters would only court trouble. In which case...
It stands to reason we should be looking somewhere normally out of bounds. Is that it?
Indeed.
But it's been over 300 years since I was made a sovereign. You can't seriously think I'll be able to waltz right into the place after all this time.
There's only one way to find out. If there's even a chance you can get us in, I say we give it a shot.
Shion's right. Who knows? We might even find a clue to her thorns while we're at it.
All right. It's not like we're swimming in leads, so let's try to track down the Forbidden Zone. Beyond that wall lies it.
Thinking about what could be lurking out here is giving me the heebie-jeebies.
For such a loudmouth, you sure can be a worrywart at times.
Oh, I'm sorry. How stupid of me for wanting us to stay safe.
Would you two children stop squabbling? Or do you want everyone to know we're here?
So how many Renans actually live in this place?
I couldn't tell you exactly, though not as many as you might expect. Machines and Zeugles take care of most of the city's basic functions.
There's Zeugles out here too, huh? Sounds like we can't afford to let our guard down after all.
What in the world?
This being Renan territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
The very foundations of the city have shifted. What could have caused this?
When Lenegis changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior, too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dana?
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live. These are their homes, right?
I would think the citizens themselves didn't have much say in the matter. Either way, locating the Forbidden Zone just became that much trickier.
Dohalim? Is that you?
Avakir, I'm glad to see you're well.
So it is you! But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dana participating in the crown contest? And these people!
So you haven't heard what happened on Dana, then?
Heard what?
Someone you know?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim, don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening, but so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Trust me. The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well. It looks like we'll have to find the way there ourselves.
Have you seen Faria yet?
No.
I see. Well, nothing much has changed with her. If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Why did you come back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself, okay, Do?
So who's Faria?
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, it would seem the people of Lenegis are being kept in the dark about what's happening down on Dana.
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their own world. Despite the fact that it's actually here that the wedge originally came from.
We need more information. Let's talk to the citizens, see what we can find out.
While we're at it, we can ask them about the Red Woman, too.
And don't forget about finding the way to the Forbidden Zone either.
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We can't have a bunch of Danins poking their noses around.
Good idea. I think that's for the best.
I shall assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Lenegis has its advantages.
Right. Then we'll leave it to you two. The Danins among us should probably keep our heads down.
What could be so important? It's worth destroying people's livelihoods and homes in the process. It's just unbelievable. Uprooting an entire city as if it were mere building blocks. Someone's got an awful lot of questions to answer.
From how it looks, they must be siphoning off astral energy from Dana, and then sending it to Rena.
But why do all this? What for? Surely they can't be using all that energy for the crown contest.
Whatever their purpose, disrupting their siphoning process alone won't be sufficient. Not while we still don't know what their endgame is.
He's right. We need to stop this from happening ever again.
This Forbidden Zone might be where we find some answers, right? So what are we waiting for? Let's get moving!
You heard him. We don't have time to stop and chat. Let's move.
So, I've been wondering, do you think when Lenegis was built, it was even made with people living here in mind?
What do you mean?
Well, none of this happened by coincidence, right? They must have designed it to transform like this. But then, if they knew people were going to live here, you'd think they would have taken that into consideration, to avoid all this chaos.
Ordinarily, yes. You'd think so. Trust me, as far as we were concerned, Lenegis was our home, nothing more. No one knew about all this. It makes you wonder whether the city was just built on as an afterthought. But if so, to what exactly?
Sorry. That probably sounded weird, huh?
Not at all. Sometimes it takes an outsider's eye to help you notice what you've been missing all along. This place is a mystery, that's for sure. Something tells me we'll find answers where we're going, though.
Yeah, you're right, Shion. I'm sure we will.
Everything will be okay now.
I know the basics of healing arts, but my skills pale in comparison.
Your lordship. Oh, what a great honor it is to finally meet you. I descended to Dana during the last crown contest also. Alas, when the contender I was backing failed to clinch the title, I returned. I witnessed the deaths of so many slaves.
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in red. Have you seen anyone of that description?
All red, eh? No, I can't say I remember anyone like that. I imagine she'd stand out somewhat, too.
Yeah. What about down on Dana during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around the lord you were serving?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise. Why do you want to find her anyway?
Never mind. Forget I asked. Sorry to take up your time.
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just look at the state of our city. Even the Zeugles have stopped heeding our commands. Whatever did we do to deserve this?
You really have no clue what might have caused this?
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, no prior decree. His Highness must have deemed it unnecessary for us to know. We have no choice but to grin and bear it. But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Ilkaris? I believed he was on Dana.
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special duty, the details of which I cannot divulge.
As your lordship wishes. First Lenegis mutates beyond recognition, now this unexpected visit. The Sovereign's plans are inscrutable indeed. The Ilkaris house has produced a great many lords over the centuries. I shall be praying for your victory in the latest crown contest.
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Is everything okay? You look a little lost.
Oh, yes. I can't seem to find my way home, is all. I was just about to make my umpteenth attempt at a new route.
I was hoping to head this way myself. The situation is a real pain, huh?
I suppose the Sovereign knows best. I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only linger around these parts for so long before I outstay my welcome. I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after all.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris! But how? Last I heard, you were in Dana competing in the crown contest.
Yes, strange, isn't it? If you know another route, we'd be grateful if you could tell us.
But of course. Please forgive me. There's a wall that sprung up ahead of here, with what looks to be an entrance in it. I thought maybe it was a passageway between the different quarters, but I've no way of knowing for sure.
It's worth investigating, at least. I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and let you know.
You'd really do that for me? A lord troubling himself for someone of my lowly status?
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are both Renin, first and foremost.
Oh, why yes, my lord. Thank you.
Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
No one has the faintest idea what's happened to the city after all. They haven't heard the news about the crown contest either.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here. Has it always been like that?
Not to this extent, which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth, that Lenegis is under some kind of control.
Given everything that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly okay with it all.
Yeah, that one guy even said his Zeugle had stopped listening to him. If that's true, these people are in big trouble.
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been conditioned. Their belief runs deep. Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them, it's all part of the Sovereign's grand plan.
The Sovereign's plan. There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this person ruling over Lenegis?
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenegis.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dana? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenegis alone would be difficult enough.
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself is. Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lenegis has ever been there?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lenegis has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth, surely.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenegis single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Lenegis from so far away? What if something were to happen to the city, like now?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? Just before the ceremony. But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler. So which one is it?
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of Rena and Lenegis. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign, though it would appear that the current ruler has gone silent. As for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenegis. No, not just became, I was forced to. Me, a Danon. 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown contest.
Do you think Volron was made sovereign for the same reason? Because of that ceremony?
I can't say for sure, but it certainly sounds like it.
But that would mean that 2 sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for ceremonial purposes. We never did see Volron's body back in Ganath Haros. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strange activity here?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are working together, do you? The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma. The same one that the Red Woman stole.
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside from me...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. Ones that it seems will remain unanswered, until we can establish the Sovereign's identity.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off-limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dana, too.
Then it's decided. That's where we need to go.
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to another section of the city. It could point us in the right direction. Let's go find it!
With nobody left to run the show, I wonder what the people here are supposed to do. I mean, there's sovereigns up on the Renan homeworld, and all their lords were sent to Dana.
But Dohalim was a lord, right?
Only current acting lords have power. Renan society is quite strict about such matters.
Even if the other lords were still around, I doubt they'd be able to do much about the situation.
I wonder what they'd think if they were here to see Lenegis now. Balsif, Ganabelt, Almadria, and Volron. Now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know next to nothing about the other lords.
Well, yeah, why would we? To us Danans, they were just enemies we needed to overthrow. Nothing more.
I know. But seeing Renans in their own city, going about their day-to-day lives, it gets you thinking.
It feels strange to imagine the lords living here too, you mean?
Yeah, a little.
If you're that curious about them, why not try inquiring with some of the locals? Every lord in their household has their share of supporters here on Lenegis. And luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dana.
I didn't realize Renans oppressed their own kind, too.
And yet, weirdly, none of them seem to mind. Am I the only one who finds that strange?
It is the way things have always been, so no one thinks to question it. You have experience in that regard yourself, do you not?
Unquestioning acceptance of your own servitude. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Even so, the quality of life here seems much higher than any Danan city we visited. I used to think it was impossible to build an ideal society without wealth. But I suppose having it doesn't always mean people are treated fairly either.
More to the point, not a single citizen seems to have even heard of the Red Woman.
What if she's not here? What if it turns out we're looking in the wrong place entirely?
It's still too early to say anything for sure.
For all we know, she might be able to blend in, move around unnoticed. I say we hold off judgment until we've exhausted every avenue.
Tell me, Dohalim, has that skill of yours got a name?
And what skill would this be, pray tell?
You know, when you're talking to people around town. The way they suddenly become putty in your hands.
I'm afraid I don't quite follow.
I do. It's called friendly intimidation. Look imposing and speak in a deep, booming voice, and presto, you'll have people wrapped around your finger in no time.
I would never stoop to such scandalous tricks. Any feelings of intimidation are solely in the eye of the beholder.
So there is a knack to it! How do you learn it? Can anyone do it?
Now you've got me curious. Is there special training to master?
Let's see. An obsession with being elegant is a must. Oh, and it helps to be old-fashioned, too. Bonus points if you speak in a way no one can understand.
If you've a bone to pick with me, it'd be quicker to just come out and say it.
What? They look up to you, that's all. I'm just helping them along.
Hey! What's got into Alvin and Law all of a sudden?
I can barely understand a word they're saying. And what's with the weird poses? Was it something they ate?
I hope you're willing to take the blame for this one.
I wasn't expecting them to take me so seriously. I'll go and have a word with them.
Yeah.
Balsef had it in him to care about someone other than himself? Really?
It's possible. A change in position can do much to alter one's perspective.
So he...
I guess she intended to spread it throughout all of Lenegis then.
Good thing the lines were down so she couldn't.
It almost sounded like she was praising them, too.
Maybe there was more to the guy than at first glance.
I shall refrain from commenting.
What?
Ganabelt was so horrible to people, yet he was invested in helping Rena succeed. Doesn't that seem just a little inconsistent?
I'm perhaps biased in this matter, I admit. However, in my mind, while all lords vie to become the next sovereign, they're also meant to serve as guardians of all of Rena.
It seems like Ganabelt also had people he cared about until the very end.
So why couldn't he extend that to us Danans?
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Indeed. The effects of Lenegis' transformation appear to be less pronounced here. Or, viewed another way, this area was simply luckier.
Pardon me.
I guess her willingness to stoop to any low came from a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here not only shared her belief, but championed it as morally right, too.
That doesn't make it true. Too bad they couldn't see through her.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Okay.
It seems like the people on Lenegis don't really know much about Volron either.
I remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Ganeth Harros changed so abruptly.
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary. Remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
When you think about it, the families of Renan lords must see them differently than the rest of us.
Yeah, despite the brutality they're known for.
They must have had a lot on their shoulders, carrying all the weight and responsibilities of Renan society.
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy, so they tend to grow up fiercely competitive. But their loyalty to their people is also strong. It's what brings them together against outside forces, and nothing exemplifies that more than the Lords.
That's what makes them the guardians of all of Rena, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you, because we're threats to Rena.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all of this?
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the Lords were all people, too. Balsif and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I'm not trying to dispute that. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. They were individuals, just like the rest of us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Rinwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Danan doesn't make you a good person. And being a Renan doesn't make you a bad one. I think that's something we've all seen.
Shion and Dohalim definitely make a good case for it.
And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure I earn that trust. As a fellow human being above all else.
What's this thing? There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right? In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
Hanfricht Milgras, the former Lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfricht whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
You're saying that ever since becoming Sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegus?
I guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the Sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegus from the Motherland, Sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own. In other words, if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelegion, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
You and me both. Though we are Renin by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Core existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then. Let's get a move on.
Doe?
Faria.
Varia? Isn't that the person that Avakir guy was...
But why are you here? Wait. Don't tell me you've given up on the crown contest and come crawling back home from Dana already. Nothing to say? Even though you were willing to kill Tarnigan to secure your position as Lord, you still...
Kill?
I'm here to take care of something. If you wish to continue this conversation, I only ask that you wait until I'm finished.
Oh, of course. You always did prefer to take the coward's way out. Even after 7 years and living on that Danon rock, you haven't changed one bit. But let me tell you, I haven't changed either. Not a day's gone by the past 7 years that I haven't hated you.
If killing me will bring you peace, then so be it.
Dohalim, what the hell are you saying?
First, I have business to take care of. If it's vengeance you seek, I will grant you it. But you must wait. My sins are legion. Let me finish what I came to do. Then you have my word. I will let you do whatever brings you peace.
Sure, that's it. Run away like always. You don't even have the courage to die. No wonder you leave it to someone else. You're just a coward!
Dohalim.
I apologize that you had to witness that.
Is it true? What she said about you killing someone?
Each of us have our pasts. I am no exception.
Before, back in Menancia, you mentioned having taken a friend's life over the throne. Is that what she meant?
The mistakes I made there were not my first, and may not be my last. I will say no more.
Did you mean what you said? About letting her take your life if she wanted to?
She has more right to my life than anyone.
But you can't just...
Whatever happens, I have sworn to put an end to the crown contest, and to ensure continued coexistence in Menancia. I have no intention of expiring before I do so. There are far too many questions I still seek answers to. Besides, you have just as much reason to kill me as she does.
Dohalim!
Forgive me. Some things are best left unsaid.
beautiful!
Yeah, it must be some sort of rest and leisure area for the locals.
You think? Man, these Renin sure know how to live it up, don't they?
Is something the matter, Dohalim?
Before I went down to Dana, my friends and I, we used to gather at this very spot and play music together. Avakir, Faria, and Tarnagan. That was a lifetime ago now.
Tarnagan. He was the one that Faria mentioned, right?
He was once my dearest, closest friend. As well as Faria's betrothed. Despite Faria's lower-class upbringing, she possesses a tremendous talent for music. Entranced by her playing, I helped her overcome her sense of inferiority and introduced her to Tarnagan and Avakir. It was a time of great joy. 4 people bound only by their love of music, with no care for social standing. Only the next song, the next melody.
A friendship based on mutual respect, and a society where everyone is a prisoner to their social class. You really are different, Dohalim.
I suppose it's natural you would see it as strange.
I would have, once. Now, I think the idea of breaking away from society's constraints and choosing your friends based solely on affection is something beautiful that's worth cherishing. Besides, it was that way of looking at the world that laid the foundations for coexistence in Menancia.
Your praise does me too great an honor. I was merely following the wishes of my own heart. And even then, it only lasted until the crown contest began. After that, Tarnagan and I became fierce competitors for the position of Lord. Tarnagan had fallen for Faria. By becoming Lord, he aimed to wrest her from her humble origins and raise her to the highest echelons of society. But fate was not so benevolent.
What happened?
Tarnagan was no match for me in combat. On a level playing field, he wouldn't have stood a chance. But he was desperate and low on options, and he couldn't stand the thought of defeat.
You mean he resorted to dirty tactics to try to win, right? But then why does Faria think... Wait, don't tell me she doesn't know.
How could I tell her? Combined with the trauma of losing her beloved, and by her friend's hand, no less. She would have been devastated.
So instead you let her go on hating you, so she could use that hate as a crutch for her grief?
That's not the same as running away, though.
It is exactly the same. Unable to face the loss of my friend and the burden of my duty. Instead, I decried my fate and looked away from what I'd done. As for what happened after, that you already know.
But if you hadn't become Lord, Menancia wouldn't be what it is now. The Danans there would still be suffering under Renin oppression like before.
Shion's right. What other lord would have treated me as you did? Anyone else and I would have been dead long ago. You've saved so many people, Dohalim. You saved me. It's thanks to you that I'm here today. So, try not to blame yourself. The burden you've placed on your own shoulders is too much for anyone to bear.
Frank as always. But I shall do my best to heed your advice.
Do you think he'll be all right?
Yeah, I think so. He's got Kisara.
It's important to have someone like that.
I didn't realize how difficult it is just to be there for someone.
Sometimes just knowing someone's on your side can be enough. And he knows, Shion. I promise he does.
I hope you're right. Alphen,
Yeah?
I never appreciated until recently just how much you were always there to support me.
It goes both ways. You've helped me keep going more times than I can count.
Maybe, but I still wanted to say thank you.
I see a medic and supply officer over there. If they know you're with me, they'll likely offer their assistance.
Whoa, that came out perfect. Hoodle, no, that's mine.
Never thought I'd see you fighting Hootle over food of all things. Normally, you share everything you have with him.
Yeah, but this is a fancy parfait. Every girl dreams of having one of these.
Is it really that big of a deal?
Please don't bring me into this.
It's always nice to eat something that fulfilling.
I can't believe I actually get to have it all for myself. Every little bite makes me so happy.
But isn't that parfait gonna cost you quite a lot more than your regular ice cream choice?
That's all the more reason for me to enjoy it. Everyone knows it takes lots and lots of sweets to stay full of energy.
Everybody, a cream monster has devoured Rinwell.
At times such as these, it would be best to just let her do as she wishes.
Yeah, definitely.
Dohalim's right. If someone's trying to enjoy their favorite food, just leave them to it and don't bother them.
Yep, can't argue with that.
I don't get women.
So good.
Damn it, Lenegis soldiers.
Any way we can avoid fighting them?
That all depends on them. Whatever happens, be ready.
Well, so much for them not wanting to fight.
Halt! I am Lord Dohalim of Elder Menancia. I command you.
The rest of the city must be erased.
No. Have they been brainwashed too?
Brainwashed or not, if they want to fight, they got one.
Shine! Radiant light! Force of regenerate! Regenerate!
Pierce evil!
Allow me to help you. Our art's being interrupted.
Its armor's too strong. Be my guest. Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Here, let me
Rising Wyvern!
Heal!
Raging Storm!
You're mine! Lunar
Far
Rondo!
beyond the darkest sky! I hold all these!
Shine! Radiant light! Force of regenerate! Regenerate! Be prepared.
I'll be saving this one!
Penumbra!
Sword Lane Alpha!
Shine! Radiant light! Force of regenerate! Regenerate!
Finish it! Fire support!
Allow me to help you. Breath of life! Heal my weary companion! Another incantation ruined! Leading pile driver! Here! Evil ray!
Magic is there! Holy lamp!
Dragon Swarm! Try this!
Now!
Penumbra! You're mine! Dragon Swarm! We're not finished!
Breath of life! Feel my weary companion! What?
Eat dirt!
Bringing you apart! No further!
Mega Ray!
No escape!
Annihilation! By the power of flame!
Demon Fang!
In here!
Rupture!
More for the stockpile!
Smash you!
My shield is healed! Incineration Wave!
Do it!
Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone!
Those soldiers seem different from the citizens we've come across so far.
Yeah, they weren't big talkers, that's for sure. They just attacked without warning.
They weren't in the least bit fazed by Dohalim's presence either.
Indeed. They seem to recognize us as enemies, nothing more. And yet, traditionally, Lenegis hasn't been high on threats. A few frenzied Zeugles during experiments here and there, but not much else.
Their glazed-over eyes reminded me of the soldiers and slaves we met back in Ganath Haros. The ones in blind devotion to Volron.
I've never seen anything like that here on Lenegis before.
Maybe someone doesn't want us here, and the soldiers are their way of letting us know.
What with the Red Woman, the Sovereign, and Volron, we're starting to develop quite the growing list of adversaries. At least we'll know to keep our wits about us.
Retreat if you know what's good for you. Can you take it?
Illuminate the pierce evil!
Elusive deity!
Holy Lancer! He placed the rings around us!
Shattering the pieces!
By the power of water! Here! Flame of
Too
fury!
fast!
I
Stand
never
back!
miss!
I'll trip it up.
Coming through! Ha! Melt! Scarlet Inferno!
Reflect on thy state. They smite with
A
blinding
world
blade!
not in your dreams!
Blow away!
By the
I can
power
carve
of
through
flame!
armor!
Vanish without a
Prepare
trace!
to be sealed!
Be still!
In a bind?
Rising Falcon! Do it!
Hydration lotion!
Tempest!
Burn!
Catapult! Tempest!
Radiant energy!
Void Blast!
Water, hear my call!
Sonic Thrust!
Pierce evil!
Rending you a
Winds of
bloody
heaven!
howling!
Burst forth!
Sword Rain Alpha!
Negative death! Reflect on thy
I owe you
state.
one.
They smite with blackened blade! Execution!
Hear me!
Now! Shattering the pieces! Breath of life!
Struggle!
Heal my weary companion!
Winds of heaven!
Thou art being interrupted!
Sleep now!
Bloody howling! On your knees!
Double Demon Fang!
Rending you apart! Bloody howling! Trust! Negative gate!
Double Demon Fang!
Illuminate do it!
Outfit!
In an instant!
Impact block!
We can really make weapons with this?
Discourteous, aren't you?
No
further!
Here, let me help!
Easter!
I single tap on the Flame of fury! Glacial spear! Here's evil! Freeze Lancer!
Breath of life! Heal my weary companion!
Demon
You're nearly done for!
Demon Fang!
All this action may run! Come for the heroes of
Coming through! Ha! Melt! Scarlet Inferno!
Benediction light!
bring you
be
down!
ready.
Resonate with the earth!
Illuminate the rock! Now like a
On your knees! In a bind?
A chain between heaven and earth! Glacial spear! Furious lightning!
Deny!
Be still!
Freeze Lancer!
Lightning Thrust!
Breath of life! Heal my weary companion!
Cure! Sonic Thrust!
Ice prison! Lunar corruption!
Dance on the wind!
Blah blah blah!
Megasonic
Shine! In a bind?
Dragon Floor! Burn!
Beckons into everlasting
Come
darkness!
on!
Negative
We
gate!
master energy! Illuminate the dark!
Armor won't save you!
Holy Glimmer! Holy Land!
Down on the ground!
Heaven and earth!
Everlasting dark!
Oh, stop it! Thanks, Kisara!
Double Demon Fang!
I've used too much!
Eternal Devastation!
Time to
Let
being
it rip!
interrupted!
This one's all mine!
Into everlasting dark!
Burn in hell!
Negative gate!
Ready to go! We
Be still!
Bloody howling! In a bind?
Coming through! Ha! Melt! Scarlet Inferno!
Here, I never miss!
Anything in armor is all mine!
Eternal Devastation!
Heaven and earth!
Demon Fang!
A wailing banshee of
Armor
lightning!
won't save you!
Divine ray!
Denied!
Down on the ground! It's in your hands now.
Stay away from my friends!
Everyone, get back! It's too dangerous! I'll bring you back from death
You're
to
mine!
I can do this!
Lightning Blast!
Here's a healer!
No rest for the wicked. You take this!
Rising Light!
Glacial spear! Pierce evil!
Elusive deity!
I'll take it from here! Let's see how you handle this! Deus Roar! Light Astral
No further!
I owe you one!
Armor won't save you!
Demon Lord! Too much! Coming spear!
Here, let me help!
Soaring
Rising
blast!
Wyvern!
Now!
Demon's Descent! Flashing Fang!
Am I on a roll or what?
Well, look who's in a bright and shiny mood.
An opponent like this should be easy. I see one, eh?
Stalagmite!
That may prove a thorn in our side.
For my lord!
No further! Demon Fang!
Leave me smelling to me.
Yeah! And pummeling to me! Fire support! Deity! Hitting fire! I'll burn it all! Flaming pillar! Fire! Double demon fang!
I can't do this forever. You'll soon see about that.
Regenerate! I can carve through now. In a bind? Listen! Eat dirt!
Magic is there. Freeze Lancer. You get the gist. In here.
I'll blind you with a shot! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
My exploits are bearing fruit.
Gotta break through!
Marksman handle this. Mine.
No dawn shall break this heat.
Reload.
I won't show you any mercy! Now you'll learn!
Shooting star.
You are hard. Bloody
I'll burn it all! Flaming pillar! Fire!
Here's a
anything
hero.
in all result.
Technique supernova.
Now you see what I can do! Resonate with the earth! In a bind?
A wailing fancy lightning. Do it. Elton. Astral energy.
Say no more.
Rising Wyvern!
Resonate with the earth! Stalagmite! Raising you are hard! Bloody howling! On your knees!
Now.
Air pressure!
Astral energy.
Say no more.
With this, I can become even stronger.
Those soldiers don't seem to have any qualms about attacking on sight.
Is someone making them stand guard?
No choice.
Let me help.
Double dip! Megasonic thrust! Hold nothing back!
As if the normal creepy crawlies aren't disgusting enough.
Eat dirt!
In a bind?
Here's a healing arc.
Rising Wyvern!
Star.
Where are you going?
You're mine! Swirling Alpha! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Here's a healing arc. Illuminate the dark.
Regenerate!
Holy land.
I owe you one.
Chain between
blasting shot. Negative gate. This one keeps charging us.
That's what my shield's for. Get behind me.
Got it. I'll leave it to you.
Breath of life. Heal my weary companion. Another incantation ruined. Benediction life. Thou art being interrupted. Forgive me.
Stay away from my friend. Coming through. Ha! Melt! Scarlet Inferno!
I'll bring you back
Rising
from
Wyvern!
depths abyss.
Stardust! It's too much.
Raging cascade. Let me
No
help.
rest for the wicked.
A whirling struggle. Ready to
Double
win the
Demon Fang!
radiant blood.
Captivity.
Demon Fang!
I've used too much. You can't get out of bed.
Watch and weep. That'll bring you down. Lightning orb.
Out of the woods, it seems.
A whirling struggle.
I'll smash you! Resuscitation!
Not done yet.
Denied! A scream fade.
Rising Wyvern!
Bloody hell! Do it! Rinwell! Light burst forth!
Radiant Genesis!
Hey, anyone else think this might be a touch too dangerous?
Ridwell's right. We should fall back to regroup and try again later.
of you! Here's your Water, hear my call!
Your reflexes will not serve you well here. Don't get carried away!
Far beyond the darkest sky! I call upon thee!
Vacuum blade!
Shooting star! Dance in the wind! Power of love!
Burning hell!
I'll grind you into dust! Anything in armor is all mine!
Megasonic thrust!
In a bind?
Look in here! Still
Double
full!
Demon
I'll be
Fang!
saving this
On
one!
your
Still full!
Nothing gets by me!
Double Demon Fang!
Lunar corruption! By the
Demon
power
Fang! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Benedict.
Far beyond the darkest sky! I call upon thee!
Demon Fang!
Lunar
Double
corruption!
Demon Fang!
I never miss! I can do it all day! Send on heaven and earth! Annihilation! A wailing Byzantium! By the power of flame! Finish without a trace! By cease! Blah, blah, blah! Next now!
Goodwill! Demon's descent! Flashing fang! Shine! Radiant light!
Corruption!
This one's mine!
Breath
By
of
the
life!
power of
Heal
water!
my wearied companion!
Ah!
By the power of
Keep
flame!
still!
Finish without a trace!
You're mine!
Lightning orbs! Purge the lightning! Blah, blah, blah!
Shine! Radiant light! Regenerate! Regenerate!
You're mine!
Tidal wave! Damn it! What?
Don't suffer in silence!
Annihilation! Lightning! We naturally
Shine! Radiant light! Force of regeneration! Regenerate!
Radiant rail! Rising Phoenix!
Do it! Between
No!
heaven and...
All yours, Kisara!
Am I on a roll or what?
Well, look who's in a bright and shiny mood.
Go no further!
Engaging! You picked the wrong fight!
Here's
Wide
a
open!
It won't escape me!
I'm going in! Bring him down!
Now you see what I can do!
Rising Wyvern!
This one's mine!
Dragon
Not on my
Swarm!
watch! Annihilation!
Shield!
This one's got your name on it!
Ashes to ashes! Shine! In a bind?
Here's a dust illuminate the dark! Magic is here on holy land! Stand between water and glass! Here's evil! A wailing free blazer!
Down on the ground!
Here, let me help!
Rising Wyvern! Megasonic thrust! Pierce through! Eat dirt!
Here's a hero! Magic is
And more of this will help burn out! Time to let it rip!
Finish without a trace!
Eagle ray!
Finish it! Lost!
Demon's descent! Flashing fang!
A whirling
Can you
struggle.
take it?
Severing wind!
You're mine!
Winds of heaven! Finish the
Pierce
force!
through! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Water and lunar corruption! Now enough!
I'm not done!
Bloody hell!
Eternal Plasma!
Rending you apart!
Back to the blade!
Bloody hell! Can't get out of this!
First aid! Divine
Begin!
force! This one's mine!
Sword Rain Alpha!
Winds
I'll
of heaven!
thrash you!
First force!
Eagle!
Cyclone!
I've used a bit too much healing.
exactly.
Denied!
Now!
In an instant! Impact cross! Shine! Radiant light! No further!
One more!
Down on the ground!
Lightning orb! Purge leveling!
This one's all
Use
yours.
the healing arc! First aid!
Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno! Lightning!
First aid!
Sure!
Eat dirt!
Here, let me help. First aid!
Strike through armor!
Sword Rain Alpha! Raining Slash!
Do it! This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
Here's a healing arc!
Castle! Catapult! Falcon!
Eat dirt! Lightning orb! Mine! Photon illuminate the dark!
No further!
Glacial
This is looking good!
No dawn shall Eagle Ray!
Here, let me help.
Down on the ground! Sonic Spear!
Rising Laser!
Eagle Ray!
Another field!
Take this! Eat dirt!
Breath of life! Heal my wearied companions! Cure! Anything longer is all mine!
Double
Now you
Demon
see what I
Fang!
can do!
I can feel my power growing!
This must be it. The entrance to the Forbidden Zone.
But it's just a wall. How do we get through?
Whoa, we? I thought this was Sovereigns only.
Alphen.
Yes! It opened!
Interesting. If Alphen's presence still opens the way, it would seem the Sovereign of 3 centuries ago and now are considered one and the same.
What?
What the?
Alphen.
You again.
Tomorrow's the spirit channeling ceremony. We'll finally play our parts as the Sovereign and Maiden. How have you been feeling?
What am I sovereign of? Shuffled from lab to lab, always treated like an experiment. Whenever they look at me, all they see is a Danon. I don't even know what their precious ceremony's for. Let alone what they're going to force me to do as the Sovereign. Tell me, if we're both in the same boat, why do you seem so calm right now?
No choice. Becoming the Maiden's not something I wanted for myself. But they said Rena's prosperity depended on it. How could I say no after that?
Still, as a Renan, at least you got to decide. Good for you. Meanwhile, I was taken from my homeland. You aren't the captive one here.
It isn't right what they did to you, and I'm sorry for what it's worth. When this is over, I swear I'll help you get home. I can't do this alone. One more day.
How could I say no to that? It's not like I have any choice in the matter anyway. So, what's your name?
It's Naori. Naori Imaris. Try to remember this time.
You don't act like them. Like the other Renans, I mean. How come you treat me like a person?
Because you are. It's true we come from different worlds. But neither one of us asked to be here right now. In that sense, you and I are much the same. We couldn't do this. We wouldn't be able to talk to each other as people if we didn't see the humanity in each other. So I suppose the question you should be asking is, why wouldn't I treat you like one?
You're not like the others.
Maybe they're not like me.
Here's what we'll do. We give them their damn ceremony. You get me to Dana. That'll be the end of it. I'm taking you at your word on this. I'm trusting you, not them. Naori.
What the hell just happened?
That vision. Did everyone else see it too?
That person Alphen was speaking to, she looked exactly like Shion.
It was Naori. Naori Imaris. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
She really does look like Shion. I'm beginning to see why Alphen was so confused.
That's all very well and fine, but what did we just witness exactly? It was too real to be a mere hallucination.
It was a conversation we had 300 years ago. The night before the ceremony.
You mean all of that really happened? We just saw an episode straight out of your past?
But how is that even possible? Unless... Could this be the Red Woman's handiwork too?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
You guys didn't feel it? The moment the entrance opened, it was like a stream of Danon astral energy rushing over us.
I felt it too. And not for the first time either. It was the same sensation as back inside the wedge.
That would make sense. After all, vast amounts of Dana's astral energy were being siphoned and sent up here to Lenegis. For all we know, perhaps we're close to the spot where all that energy was stored.
So you think it might have been the energy itself that was responsible for that vision we just saw? But how? And why?
We have no way of knowing. Maybe it's not even as deliberate as all that.
Shion, you okay?
Yeah. It was all just a little sudden. That's all. So that was my ancestor, huh? It was like looking into a mirror.
Yeah, there certainly is a resemblance.
What about you? How are you holding up?
Me?
Even putting aside the question of where that vision came from, it's likely we'll see more of those. Reliving painful episodes from your past. Do you think you can handle it?
I can't just pretend like the past never happened. Besides, if it helps us uncover the truth of what that ceremony really was, it might also lead to answers about your thorns.
Alphen.
That's not all. This whole time, we've been fighting to free Dana from the Renans. But now that we're here, it seems those same Renans might have it just as bad. I'd like to liberate them too if I can. Which is just another reason I can't afford to shield my eyes from the truth.
Whether you're on Dana or somewhere else, you always stay the same. Your indignation and righteous passion, your desire to free and protect, they're all hardwired into you. Not that I'm complaining. Come on, let's bust this thing wide open.
Nobody's here.
Stay sharp. After that last illusion, there's no telling what could happen in here.